things.
What things you heard?
I heard some things.
Hey, ho! Well, we got the intro down, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to I Heard Things, episode 3, as they say down in Brooklyn. I was in Brooklyn last week. I'm at a happening bar down there at Lucky 13 Saloon. My friend Billy's band is going to be there, Method of Destruction, on December 14th. Get your tickets. Now, I will be there in person. We've had incredible cards and letters come in about the broadcast, commenting about the broadcast. They love the broadcast. They love the fact that there is a 8-track machine in my stereo back there. Lots of comments about what's going on in the background. Still working on it, but I think we're going to stay with this setup for now because it's kind of like it's got a more of a homey feel, and I feel like, you get a good shot at my mug as I speak, which may be a good or a bad thing. So let's first start off. We've got a big guest. Now, the big guest is having a little bit of technical difficulties, as they say. So I'm going to kind of, riff or vamp. I think vamp was the word they used back in the burlesque days for you people 90 and over out there listening or watching. I don't think anybody over 90 is watching YouTube, although my dad at 87 does partake in YouTube and going down the YouTube wormhole. So I guess there's two topics that, again, what's my beef? Now, I know some listeners out there are said, oh, what's my beef? That means in today's parlance, you want to fight somebody. You want to, you got a beef. We got beef. Nah, this is like kind of like I explained this before, like a Jay Leno thing where Jay would say, what's bothering him? What's irking me? And hey, as an older gentleman, things irk you a lot easier they did when you were young. I don't know what it is. You didn't have time, but now you have time, so it irks you. That's the first thing that's irking me is like, I know most of you people are not on Facebook. You left social media for however reasons. But this is a Facebook thing that irks the shit out of me. It's Facebook profile pics. Now, when I want to play the Remember When game, I want to catch up with some people, maybe my age, I graduated with, or friends along the way I met in my early 20s. I want to look them up. But nobody my age has got a fucking Facebook photo. You got, I'm getting, look at this. I went to school with this girl, Rodney Dangerfield over here. Look at that schnoz. Maybe this is why people don't post their pictures. You know what I'm saying? I mean, whoo. What is that? Fascia bruta or bruta fascia? Whatever that is. The Italian saying for, wow, that's brutal face. That's not good. Well, thank God she has that flower in her ear because that really enhances her look. Then you can't blurry a photo? What was this taken? Anyway, but my peeve is that at least this woman was brave enough to put up a photo of herself. I don't want to see waterfalls. I don't want to see your grandkids. No, get out of here, kid. I don't like you. You might be a cute kid, but, if I'm looking up Lonnie Treflani, from high school, I don't want to see that kid. Sorry, it's all about me. I mean, I'm brave enough to throw my photos up there, and listen, you talk about bruta faccia. Listen, I'm one of you. But come on, I want to catch up with you. I want to know what you look like. And there is a part of me that says, boy, that guy looks bad. And I like that too. Or, wow, that guy looks good. He aged well. And the same thing goes for the females as well. That's one thing that kind of my beef. And then I guess the second other thing is these fucking laboo-boos. First of all, laboo-boo. There you go. Thank you, Balinor. Look at these laboo-boos. Now, I first got, I first was aware of these Labubu's, which is another stupid baby name. We have baby names all over the place now. You got your Google, your Googie, every Tubi. Everything's like a baby name so you can remember it. We're a fucking nation of babies right now. But anyway, get back to the Labubu. I'm watching this episode of South Park, right? And they have the kids exchanging these Labubus. And I think that South Park invented like this term for like these collectibles. I had no idea that they were a real thing, these Labubus. These things are the ugliest fucking things I grew up in the days of Pet Rocks. There's that, yeah, isn't that Butters, right? I think that's Butters with a Labubu. And they're supposed to be like little demons. Like, I grew up in the day of Pet Rocks, and even later with Pet Rock was stupid. I mean, that I never bought into that. I knew that was a fucking heist. But apparently these Labubus come in a mystery package. You don't even know what you fucking get. Bad enough these adults are collecting these Pops figures and all these other everybody's got a collectible. Now listen, I collect trading cards for a long time. I gave that up because it's like, what are you collecting them for? You're fucking 60 years old. You're gonna die soon. You're not gonna live to see any kind of profit on this stuff. Sell all your junk. You don't need it, for Christ's sakes. So these Labubus are apparently demonic. They've got on Amazon. You can buy clothes for the Labubus. And from what I've heard through the grapevine, they're popular with not so much the young kids, but like these 20-year-old people, in the 20s. And I'm like, get laid. Interact with people. Don't fucking carry a Labubu on the back of your backpack. As a matter of fact, the next Idiot Box show, I think I'm going to execute a fucking Labubu live on stage. I think that would be a good idea. Don't know about you people, but that's what's going to happen. Now, I have a very special guest today who is having a little technical difficulties. His name is Wild Bill Sherman. Bill he's an intriguing character. Let me tell you this. And hopefully we'll get to him, but I've got to press on. We have to succeed where others have failed on this show. I do it with or without a guest. Hopefully Bill will figure it out. He may ask the assistance of his daughter to help. Because let's face it, you get to this age, I don't care. It's tough navigating the world of the internet. So Bill, if he comes on, we'll maybe go back to some of the topics we're going to cover. Some of the subject matter that I had kind of lined up for Bill. Balinor, the producer of the century, may chime in, may add. Balinor is a man of few words. He's also younger than me, so a lot of this shit that I bring up, he's like, whatever. Like this stuff, he doesn't actually talk like that. But he would say like, wow, this is some strange shit or something like that. So we will go after that. Now, I guess the first thing I want to talk about is the great rage. It was a big rage when I was a kid. Citizens Band Radio. Do any of you people remember this? Citizens Band Radio. I cannot see the chat here. I don't know what's going on. Is there anybody in the chat? That would be interesting. But maybe I have to go on the YouTube live to figure that out. So give me a second while I try to get into the see what some of the reactions to what I'm saying is here. I don't want to keep track what I watch. I'll just watch you sign in. I got signed out. Oh, please. I'm not going to bother with that. Oh, 10-4. Chris Russo's here. Okay. Chris, you remember, I don't know, you're younger than me, but you do remember CB radios, I would think. Apparently, everybody was talking in the 1970s, the little sub-headline on there. My dad had this actual CB radio. It was installed in our 1978 um, uh, it was a why do I forget the name of the brand? Well, it was a Chevy station wagon. And this Chevy station wagon was the craziest color. It was like lime green. And it was a Malibu station wagon. I just recalled. Yes. Uh, and we took a cross country trip from New York to California. And there we didn't have the wood paneling, Balinor, but I would tell you that's about what it kind of looked like. Except we didn't have the rims. I don't know. My dad didn't want to go for the extra $100 or $50, but the rims were not part of the deal. But behind the rims, they were also painted lime green. So it was the lime green machine, and you had the way back in the back there. And so it was me, my mom, and my brother. We went cross country in the mountain. Now, my father installed the CB radio. You have to understand, the CB craze is in full effect. I mean, I'm just like, no, that was not it. I don't think you could. I don't know what that is. It could be a Chevelle or whatever. I don't know. Anywho, I was so excited about getting this thing, but of course, my dad, and let's just put it, my dad is a very half empty kind of guy. When I get, yeah, he's really not about the full. He's more of a, he leans to the negative side. So I couldn't wait. I remember we were heading like to the, just getting out of New York. I couldn't wait to use this thing. We're going to California. And I'm like, I was so psyched to use this. I couldn't even wait to get out of New York to use it. I remember we were like on the Hutchinson Parkway or something, or heading to, where was it? I don't know where we were going. And I was sitting in the front seat. Now, you have to understand, back in the day, the parents always sat up in front. But I had the luxury of sitting in that front seat. Or maybe I did it from the back. I said, Dad, can I use the CB? And he gave me the CB, whether I leaned over, and I pressed the handle, and we were on channel 19. Now, if I had Bill here, I could pretty much corroborate that channel 19 was like the trucker. Yeah, that was it. That's it. That is it. I think channel 19 was the channel that all the truckers were on. And there was another thing, too, with truckers. If you would go buy a trucker and do this, like that, to them, they would honk their horn. And not for a 13-year-old kid. The trucker is honking his horn. You're one of the truckers. You're one of them. They know the signs. You know the signs. It's like it was a thrill. A thrill for a kid. I'm sure my father got annoyed by that. You have to hear a lot of horns. Nowadays, you do it. It's like, oh, my God, what is he beeping at? Because there's a lot of people who are afraid of trucks. Like, people will go like 2 lanes out of their way to get away from a truck. They think the truck's going to swerve. Meanwhile, I think the truckers are the better drivers than the dolts that are driving the cars on these freeways. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, there it is. Valano, you're right on today. There is. Now, I didn't have a truck with me or one of those milks or something, whatever he's got that kid. But that's what he used to do. I wonder if they still do that. I don't know. So anyway, I can't wait to use the CB. I get on the CB. I go, I know the lingo because I listen to the song, which we're going to play a little bit. I go, because you had to know the lingo. You had to. Or else you can't, you're not part of the club. You can't get on and go, hello. Hello, is anybody? Am I transmitting? Are you listening? It was a whole lingo. So I go breaker, breaker, 1-9. Anybody got their ears on? That's the lingo. I was familiar with this. And I did it again. Because, sometimes people don't respond right away. I would say, come back. That was another part of the lingo. Breaker, breaker, 1-9. Come on back. Anybody got their ears on? Or my father turns to me and goes, breaker, breaker. Eddie's a breaker. Like I was breaking his balls by having fun at the age of 13. Once again, the tiny dagger right in my dreams and my hopes. Then I was banned from the CB for the entire trip to California and back. But notwithstanding, the CB craze was no joke. As you're going to hear, there was an actual song that was recorded and it went pretty high on the Billboard charts. It was called Convoy. It was by a guy named C.W. McCall. They even made a movie out of it. This is like in times when movie or TV about it. So we'll play a little bit of the song and maybe you'll hear some of the lingo that I used. Yeah, well, could have played a little bit longer to get the chorus. Wow, Bill's still not here. Let me check my phone. Play more of that song, Belliner.
Yeah, I've only got 20 seconds.
All right, okay.
Sorry, Breaker. I'll run out.
That's Balliner, my esteemed producer. Okay, that's good enough. Well, you get the gist of the whole thing. Balliner, were you aware that this was a thing at one point?
CB radios? Yeah. I used to do the little trucker thing when I was a kid, too.
See?
Have them honk the horn.
And your dad, your parental units would allow you to do this?
Oh, no, they'd be pissed.
Apparently, this did not go over well with parents at the time.
No. No. Mooning people, even less so.
Okay. You mooned people? I didn't moon people. I was brought up in a strict Christian. No, I wasn't.
Hey, we had a hatchback and had a big window. I mean.
Oh, wow. I found that very adventurous. I wasn't into that. I used to get a kick. It was a simpler time, I guess. I used to get a kick staying in the hatchback and waving to people because you would face the other way, like face the people who were behind you and wave, and they would wave back. And we used to get such a thrill out of that. God knows that's when life was life. Simple pleasures. But yeah, I'm glad that you participated in this CB craze, or at least, and there were a lot of movies. Like, as you see, Convoy, the movie came out of it. There was also another movie, which I think just might be the king, I guess not the King Daddy. What am I trying to think? I want to say granddaddy of them all, but maybe it is. Yeah, it's called the Great Smoky Robbery. Great Smoky Roadblock, rather. And this movie, if you ever want to watch some trash and you got like an hour and a half, 2 hours to kill, this movie is great. Now, this is like Henry Fonda. How he wound up in this movie, I have no idea. He wound up, I think, actually getting his first Oscar after this movie. don't know if the timeline is right. He got his own first and only uh, uh, Oscar was for On Golden Pond with Katharine Hepburn and his daughter Jane. But there is some interesting character. First of all, this movie is as schlocky as it gets. It's as 70s as it gets, which to me makes it a classic. Now, would I sit down and watch the whole thing now? Probably not. But back in the day, it came on the 4:30 movie here in New York, Channel 7. They used to play all kinds of crap. And I used to race home from after school activities to come and see what's on the 4:30 movie. And this could be on. I mean, or on the weekends on local television, they would play a lot of these. My handle was your trucker name, like Big Bear, Old Kentucky. Oh, yes, that's right. Big Bear, Old Kentucky. I don't know what I had one. I know I had one. I'm going to try to figure it out, Chris. But I'll have to ponder on that. I'm sure I came up with something thought it was really clever at the time, but it didn't age well. Well, Henry Fonda decides to do this movie. And in this movie, it's got quite a cast. It's got a cast that at the time, you might have been like, this is about Henry Fonda. Like they spent all the money on Henry Fonda. So they only could, drudge up these, bunch of B-listers, C-listers, or people you never heard of. Well, in this movie, Susan Sarandon, I think she was in Major League. I think that's her big role. I mean, she played a lot of roles. Pretty sexy broad. I mean, at the time, man, and even later years, I think people say she was attractive. I think she's in that movie with Matthew Broderick, Biloxi Blues as well. I think she plays a prostitute, but I'm not sure. But anyway, very, there she is. Now, the premise of this movie is pretty stupid as up front. I think Elegant John, that's who Henry Fonda plays. He's the truck driver. And he's on like his last ride or something. I don't know if he's dying. I don't know if he's something. And like these prostitutes are trying to get away from their pimps or the mayor. Who knows what this convoluted plot was about? So Elegant John says he'll drive them to a new area where, I don't know, these prostitutes can make their own whorehouse. I'm just spitballing here. I don't remember the whole freaking video. But Susan's a young Susan Sarandon. And that's Eileen Brennan, who you might know from some Mel Brooks films, as well as The Cheap Detective, I think she's also in, who's no longer with us. She was another one, had great voice, a lot of good sexual innuendo in her acting. I guess she's writing. I think she's the madam. She might actually play the madam, and her and Elegant John. Get it? Elegant John. I guess he's an Elegant John. I don't know if that's that's his handle though on the CB. That was not. I wasn't Elegant Ed. I can tell you that much. And in this movie, it's wild. I mean, Susan Sarandon's in it. John Biner is in it. I don't know if you guys know who John Biner is. He hosted a show that was one of the first skit comedies on cable called Bizarre. And I think it was on HBO or Showtime. Not sure which. He was known for his impressions. He's in the movie. A couple other familiar faces are in the movie. But really, this also, again, capitalizing on the CB madness of the day. So CBs were a big thing. And, we mentioned in the last show, it was BJ and the Bear, another trucker show. So truckers were a big deal back then. And, listen, there's even some YouTube channels that are simply dedicated to trucking accidents and trucking faux pas. If you just joined us, it's just me and Ballinor right now, our guest, Wild Bill. uh, unknown, right? He did get in here pre-show, but somehow has not figured out the technology in order to get back. Or it could be some technical difficulty with this restream. So he may, like I said, he may have include his get his daughter out here in order to help him. I guess the next thing I want to talk about, since I talked about CBs, is some of the cartoons, the live action cartoons. I guess they couldn't call them live action cartoons, but live action shows that were very prevalent in the late 70s and early 80s. Most of them done by Sid and Marty Krofft, who were weirdos by themselves. Um, at the World's Fair, I think it was the 65 World's Fair in New York, or I want to say 69. I don't know what year. I never did ask my mom or dad that they take me to the World's Fair. The World's Fair was located in Flushing Meadows um, and Flushing, Queens. They had done a exhibit there of French dancing girls with these puppets. They were puppeteers, and that's how they kind of gained fame. And then they translated it or progressed into, hey, let's make TV shows, which were more psychotic than anything a child really should see. I mean, they were a little bit trippy, as they say. Um, Ballinor, do you remember HR Puffin stuff?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Could you dig up a picture of HR and then Puffin stuff by Sid and Marty
Oh
Krofft?
my
And
god, that thing's terrible looking. Okay, yeah.
okay, if you
Some
can
of
dig
these
up.
are scary.
Well, that's what I want. I want to get your opinion. I mean, when you first see this shit, what's your first thing? What's the first thing that comes to you?
I'm thinking psychedelics.
Yes,
It had
and
something to do with this inspiration.
you would be correct because a lot of kids at the time, not kids, college people, would take LSD and watch this because there was actually strange colored mushrooms in this in the foreground and very psychedelic. Now this guy, the character you're seeing on your left, the young boy there is Jimmy, and he was like this English kind of. He was from England. He had an English accent, and then he has his flute. The flute actually talks, and that's weird. Just watching a flute talk. Apparently, it was some kind of puppet or something. The mouth would move, and there he is, HR Puffin stuff. He's the mayor of this fucking psychedelic land. And let's see what else we got here. Yeah, see how? Yeah, see that mushroom there? That mushroom talks, and he talks like, or he's like got like a Bogart kind of voice, like he. At talking mushrooms, you have a kid from England, you have a witch. Oh, there's Freddie the Flute. There he is in all his glory. You got that. Um, the villain is a witch called Witchy Poo. Now, if this lady doesn't scare you, and she's got some minions who I forget their names, but it was like, this is like late 60s, early 70s, and Sid and Marty Krofft, they made a fortune off this. I saw it in reruns later on. Who knows how many episodes they made? I'm sure it cost a lot to make. As a matter of fact, there we go. Witchy Poo scared the shit out of me. She really was. She had a broom and she was always flying around and trying to kill Jimmy and like turn him into a mechanical boy. I mean, it was always something. Look at this. All the outfits of Witchy Poo. And she had a laugh. Not as scary as the Wizard of Oz witch, but and she was always cackling and laughing and jokes that weren't funny. And so I guess that's Witchy Poo in her and the makeup that these people would have to go through. Unbelievable. And it's not like, I guess, like grease paint and stuff that they used to use in the day. Um, this was quite an endeavor. And so what happened was this show was more popular with adults than it was with kids at first. And like I said, college kids, Saturday morning, they're all Friday night, they're partying, they're hungover. They're like, hey, let's drop some acid and watch HR Puff and stuff. And people will still talk about this at my age range today. So another great show. Now, this materialized in several shows that Sid and Marty Krofft went on to do. I think the most bizarre one, which is more bizarre than HR Puff and stuff, is Lidsville. Lidsville. This show was insane. Okay. You had basically a young boy who falls down a magic hat at the fucking circus or the carnival or something like that. And he falls down in this magic hat and he's tumbling. You're like, oh my God, where's he going? Yeah. That's the kid. I think that kid might be the same kid who's in Land of the Lost that plays the older brother, but I'm not sure. See if you can get that. That's a great. And it looks like they probably used the same background they did for fucking HR Puff and stuff. Now, the same lady who played Witchy Poo, I'm pretty sure was who dipped her toe in the lady pond quite often. The lady who's playing the genie there, you see in the middle there, she also played Witchy Poo. Now, Lidsville was the kid falls down a magic hat, and he winds up. Let's see, let's check it out. There's Lidsville. That guy's not. Oh, he's a football player. That guy on the right. That's his lid. Is that he's got a football helmet? Doesn't look like the same guy though. Full episode. I don't know. Anybody got some THC or acid we could drop to watch to make sense of that? Well, that lady there, she played Witchy Poo as well. I guess they were using it. But if we go back to the other picture, of that full picture of right there to the left, all the way to your far left, that's Charles Nelson Riley of Match Game fame. And Charles Nelson Riley, he was in everything. He was even in Bic pen commercials, the Bic Banana. Does anybody remember that? That was a kind of a pen thing. Anyway, so you can see there's all kinds of hats there. There's the lady's a nurse on the right. One guy's a pirate. The other guy's a football helmet. There's CNR, as we call him, Charles. He basically, he actually became a director and was a fairly good director, and also one of the best friends of Burt Reynolds. And if you remember Burt Reynolds from Smokey and the Bandit and that help and all that stuff, yeah, there he is. What's her name, Balano? Can we get a bead on what her name was? It was something short. That's all I remember.
Billy Hayes.
Billy Hayes. See, she's got a boy's name, so you know. So and CNR was also he liked his men. And Charles Nelson Riley, now if we could swing back to that picture of the group photo, he actually caught on fire on the set of this show. That green paint that he's wearing on his head was extremely flammable. And there was a lot of fire. I think some fireworks when he rode in a magic hat with a steering wheel. That was his way to spy on Lidsville. And he had a very interesting career. I could say. And he was a very funny guy. He was from New York. I think he was from Brooklyn or the Bronx. And he had an interesting career. He got really famous from Match Game. That was his, the top upper right hand corner was CNR, as they call him. Alec Baldwin did a kind of a caricature of him on SNL. Definitely a 70s icon. He was in everything. He was also in The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. Um, he was just everywhere. He was in, I think, it may have been in one of the Cannonball runs because he was friends with Burt Reynolds. So that was like his in. So you got the Sid and Marty Krofft. We're then going to kind of move from Sid and Marty Krofft, continue with the evolution of Sid and Marty Krofft. They came out with a show that was like kind of groundbreaking at the time. It was called Land of the Lost. In Land of the Lost, they actually it was a live action show, but it also had a combination of special effects involved with it. And I think the guys who originally were with George Lucas, or it might have been Disney. I think it was the people who were working with George Lucas, or eventually would work with them. They came up with the kind of stop action kind of. It wasn't exactly stop action motion, but it was pretty close for the time of the dinosaurs that they would interact with. And as you can see in this picture, you got some dinosaurs. I think the guy on the right, his name was Grumpy. He was a T-Rex. Now, I don't know about you, but if I land, the premise of the show is they're going down a river, the family's going down there, whitewater rafting, what have you, and something opens up in the river and they fall. Somehow, magically, they don't get hurt from like a 1,000,000-foot fall. They land in the land of the lost. And you got Marshall, who was the guy on the right. You got Will, who's the guy on the left. You got Holly. You got Chaka, which, by the way, I had the Chaka haircut back in the 70s. Not because I wanted to look like Chaka. It just wound. This is Chaka, what he really looks like. Chaka is, and, I have to say, this guy's a good-looking gentleman. There's Chaka, right? You remember Chaka? He used to always say, Harry. He couldn't say Holly. For some reason, he had he had problem. I mean, he was I guess he was a caveman. I guess he's a cave boy. And he would get involved with all the fucking the hijinks that they would do. And he'd be Chaka, find Harry. He was like the Lassie, but he was a caveman. Or they would have to find Chaka, or maybe Chaka was trapped in a cave with Grumpy. I never understood this. This is a T-Rex that can fucking eat you and tear you to shreds. They came up with, he's Grumpy. I would say he's lethal. He's death. They come up with this cute nickname for him. Never really got that. But then again, as a kid, I was a little bit weird. I would overanalyze shit. And Chaka was he grew up. He looks a little, I don't know who he looks like. He looks like an actor. I don't know who he really looks like. Yeah, we're going to get to that, Chris. And then everybody remembers, let's go back to the other shot, the Slee Stacks. Now, this is something me and Wild Bill, and that's not the Slee Stacks. That's, thank you so much. Right there, me and Wild Bill, we're going to have an extended talk about the Slee Stacks. And Bill knows a lot about the Slee Stacks. So he was telling me he remembers this episode, that episode. The Slee Stacks were like these advanced lizard creatures who you would kind of tease knew their way back. Like they could time travel and shit. But they were the slowest moving fucking villains or monsters I've ever seen. They were worse than zombies. They moved like at a foot at a time. I was like, they're never going to catch these people. These people could run. And they would hiss. And I'm looking at this picture, and it looks like they have some kind of lasers, or is it slingshots? I'm not sure. Uh, I don't know if Chalk in this picture is touching himself. He's look at his eyes up close. He looks very concentrated. It looks like Marshall's like, "Hey, calm down there, Chaka." I mean, Hari's got like a fucking frightened look on her face, like maybe he is doing it. And then Will, he's just like, "What the fuck?" So you got a lot of components in this picture that I'm reading into, which is basically, like I said, nothing's really changed. They also had something with these prisms or something to set. So the Sleestaks were like the main villains. They always got away from the dinosaurs. And I think, I'm not sure, but like the Brontosaurus in the show, which was obviously a herbivore, he didn't bother with them, so he was kind of a friend. She might have had a pet dinosaur. I don't remember the whole thing. But Sid and Marty Krofft, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that they would time travel with that thing. You're right on it, Balinor. And I think they would use a crystal inside that little thing there. I mean, was it great television? Not really. But when you're a kid and you see all this stuff and you turn out to be a sci-fi guy like I turned out to be. By the way, if you're not watching Aliens Earth, now this remake, I'll get to that in a second because we were talking about Eddie the last show. Um, when you're a kid, like if you're not watching Alien Earth on Hulu or on Peacock, or no, Hulu, it's on Hulu and I think FX. If you don't have the premium service, you should be watching this. I mean, I'm an Aliens fan, but not like an Aliens diehard. I think this is extremely well written. I think it's also, it's not the same old, I don't know, it's not the same old plot, like where you could figure things out, uh, out before it even happens. It's got some twists and turns on it, which I like. That's something I think as you get older, you don't want to be fed the same, spoon fed the same old garbage. So this has a little, but it's a little, you can be a little squeamish. You can get a little squeamish watching the ick, but I don't mind the ick because I know it's all fake, and I don't know. I'm just of that ilk that it doesn't bother me, but it's fantastically written. And I think the lead actress, I can't remember her name, but I think that she could get an award if this gets enough eyes on it. But getting back to the Sleestaks, so they're like the slow ass villains, Holly, and these people are revered. Like they're doing all these, conventions. Now I'm pretty sure Chaka does them and Holly does them. I don't know if Will and Marshall. And I was telling Balinor before the show, they actually replaced the father in this and didn't even tell you. I don't know if he was in some kind of contract dispute, but like the dad just disappeared after the first 2 seasons or something. I don't know. It was a pretty cool show, and it did try to combine live action with stop action or these kind of graphics that enhance the show. It looked fakish all hell to me, But who am I? Who am I to judge? I just remember it like fucking obscure shit. Oh, when Balinor found this, Balinor, what kind of reaction did I get? When I saw this.
Nostalgia.
Yes, nostalgia. Yeah, exactly. I was ecstatic about this nostalgia. This is the Dynamite magazine. This is something, when you were in school, they used to get you to subscribe. I don't know if the school was getting a kickback from this or something. You sell enough subscriptions. Some teacher was hawking this. I don't know how it happened, but maybe the school was just interested in getting you to read, which I've stopped reading. I'm audiobook only now. I can't read anymore. It just takes too much effort. I need to be told a story. Tell me a story, Daddy. That's basically what it's come down to. But anyway, I don't know if the school was involved with this, like they were making money. I doubt it. I think it's probably like the librarian, and they would come and collect the money. And I used to get the money. Anytime there was a transaction at school, my mother would put the money, the change in the dollar bill in a white envelope, and it would be sealed. Like, this is meant for school. Ed, don't break the seal. This goes directly to the teacher or whoever. I used to go with this white envelope, all sealed, with my name. My father has great penmanship, by the way. I mean, you talk about a John Hancock. And he used to get on me all the time about my penmanship. I was like, listen. He'd be like, this looks like Chinese. And I was like, Dad, this really isn't helping my self-esteem. The guy has great penmanship. He's like, this looks like Chinese people wrote it. I'm like, all right, Dad, I'm done. I'm done showing you my work. And this stuff sticks to you. It sticks with you. I mean, I remember that story. I was like 10 years old. And he's telling me I look like Chinese. Okay, here we go. Great. Schools made money. So this was a money-making. This was a Ponzi scheme. No, that's not a Ponzi scheme. Okay. There you go. See, it was a money-making scheme. See, it took me 50 years to figure it out. Or surmise that it might have been. Well, I will tell you, I was all in. And if I didn't get that fucking issue with Dynamite every month, I was losing it. And Dynamite, I think the first issue was Jimmy Walker. I think that's really where they tried to rip off Jimmy Walker from Good Times. JJ, the character, would yell, Dynamite! And I think they were trying to, like, leapfrog or, jumping off point. Sounds good to a kid. It's Dynamite. And I loved it. It had a very glossy cover, which back then you didn't get a lot of glossy cover. There he is. Now, that's what I call Dynamite. Look at that hat. And by the way, I met Jimmy Walker about 3 years ago. I actually met the entire cast, except Esther Roll, who's dead, and John Amos, who I don't think was dead at the time, but might have been dead. But I met all the kids. And I've got to say, no Walona and no Janet Jackson. Surprise, Janet Jackson didn't show up to a convention of nerds. Yeah, I met, what's her name? Janet. Not Janet Jackson. Janet was his sister. She was extremely nice. Extremely nice. Was her name Janet? I think it was. I don't know. Michael. Michael was cool. He was really well dressed, very spiffy. I think he's done some producing. Her name wasn't Janet, was it? Huh. All right. Then I met JJ. And JJ, I believe, because I am no doctor. I have not gotten my my medical degree during this show, so I can say as a non-practitioner of medicine, I feel like he's in the grips of some kind of dementia. He was looking at my shirt and he was like touching my shirt and trying to spell it out. Like, it was really weird, a weird interaction with JJ Walker. So he might be but he's doing those Colonial Penn commercials too. It wasn't Janet. What was her name? I'm gonna have to look this up now. Sorry, I have to. What, there is a condition when things are on tip of your tongue, and you can't. You can't find it. Thelma. Okay. Oh boy. Jeez. Thank God that's over. Thelma, the sister. She was really nice. Thelma was a blast. Very, very talkative, and I think she's appeared on other shows um, later on in her career. But Dynamite magazine was the shiznit. That it, I was about to say that it had a really glossy cover, and I believe it had a centerfold uh, with naked women in it. No, I'm only kidding. It had like there she is. John, who was the my first guest on my first, had a thing for Thelma. He loved Thelma, and J.J. Walker told me that she used to get more female fan mail than he did, and he was a pop icon with the dynamite. That was his shtick. But I guess the men's loved her. I was not. I just wasn't enthralled at that point. But very nice woman, and apparently the men of this nation back in the 70s had a thing for Thelma. Um, there you go. I actually have a Good Times lunchbox. I should have brought that if I knew we were going into this. There's John Amos, who was in Roots. Um, big mini series. One of the first big series. I could do a whole segment on Roots and how this became, because we got snowed in on in the east, that this became, we couldn't leave the house, so we were watching TV, and every night for like 5 consecutive nights, Arthur Haley uh, wrote the book, and it became it was very gripping and kind of horrifying for a young adult to watch this, but it was awesome. ACJJ, Esther Roll, who is known for the famous, she throws the punch bowl down and she goes, damn, damn, damn. When she finds out that James dies, because John Amos did not want to do the show anymore because he was a classically trained actor. The show was a Norman Lear production, and Norman Lear had things to say about Black culture in America and the inner city Black, and the show got more driven by JJ saying dynamite and focused on his hijinks with girls and whatever. So he's like a little upset that the show was changing direction, and he left the show. Esther Roll stayed. She's known Walona, the one in the middle. Forget her name again, but she actually sang the theme to the Jeffersons. Yes, she's got a French like Dubois. Something, I think the last name is Dubois. Janet Dubois. Maybe I'm crazy with the Janets. There's Thelma. And Thelma would basically be the target for JJ to crack jokes on. And she very rarely had things going on early. Later on, she married a guy named Keith, who then moved in and was supposed to like replace James or John Amos. And then they see Michael, who was like a militant Black kid. He was like always like this, like a Malcolm X type of character, where he's thinking about screwing up the man, fucking the man, and but even he got pushed out by the focus on JJ, and the writers began to just write for JJ because that was. Oh, you got the picture of the lunchbox? Let's see the lunchbox here. Good times. Lunchboxes were a big thing. Yes, that's the lunchbox that I have. Now, the lunchbox, as you can see, comes with the DVDs of the first season. But yes, there it is. That is. It's right on my kitchen table, or Ed Dondero's kitchen table. There you go. Yeah, I got that in my back of my car. I should have brought that out. But yeah, there's a lot of, and again, that show, it still kind of holds up now. There are a lot of shows that don't. That shows up. The Norman Lear shows pretty much, they had quality writing, as opposed to like Sid and Marty Krofft, which was like fucking hallucinogenic central. If you want to do hallucinogens and watch Sid and Marty Krofft, you probably could do it all day. They were also responsible for a show called The Bugaloos, which were like these bugs that spoke with English accent. I don't know. They go Norman Lear. There's Sanford and Son, which we all enjoy, and All in the Family, an all timer, still on today. I don't know how that is not censored with today's cancel culture, but also brought up so many great issues and things that are still prevalent today. And Archie is just the stuff he says is classic, and the frustration with uh, Mike, who's Rob Reiner, who's appearing in the new Spinal Tap movie, which I don't know about. I don't like these remakes of old movies. They never top it. They load them up with like guest stars or like, and it's like, okay. Then you've got Sanford and Son, you've got Lamont, and of course Red Fox. I'm Coming Elizabeth, and then the Jeffersons. You got Wheezy and George Jefferson, Sherman Helmsley, who was a former post office worker. According to my dad, he said he worked with him. But my dad claims that a lot of people work with him. That he claimed that Mabel King from What's Happening worked with him. I don't know if this is true. And then, of course, then there's Maude, which Maude was not a show I really liked because it was like all kind of adult. It was kind of like Soap to me, like the show Soap. It was like too much adult shit. I wasn't ready for that. I didn't want to hear about abortion. I didn't want to hear about. I want hijinks. Where's the catchphrases in Maude? I mean, but once again, a great theme song, which nowadays they don't have great theme songs. There are no theme songs. These theme songs were part of my musical upbringing. And I always bring up when I'm either drunk or stoned or whatever I am and say, what was the best musical theme song? And, it's still a debate that I like to settle. If you've just joined me, looks like Wild Bill is morte, as they say in Italian. And could be technical difficulties. Don't know what's going on. Here we go. Okay, welcome back, Carter. Very good, very good. The Jeffersons, an all-timer. Three's Company, too. Muppet Show. Oh, who doesn't love the Muppet Show? Happy Days, which actually charted on the Billboard charts. That Girl, good song, but too mellow for me. The Love Boat, I mean, that's a crooning. Jack Jones did that song, and that's a crooning favorite. I will occasionally do that on karaoke while I'm on a cruise. Laverne and Shirley, another song that charted on Billboard. WKRP in Cincinnati, really big. People love that. One Day at a Time, also a very great theme. This is it. One Day at a Time. There was a young Valerie Bertinelli, who I definitely, if I can be frank, rather, gave me a chubby back in the day. The Partridge Family, come on. This is one of the all-time greats. Early 70s. Wonderful, just a wonderful song. Oh, Christopher Russo is now saying that Maud's house pictured in the opening was in his neighborhood. Wow. Thank you, Chris, for that fact. And what are you, from Connecticut, Chris? Or New Jersey? I'm not sure. The Facts of Life, which was not a show I really watched. I watched a lot later in years. That's got to take the good, take the bad. Sanford and Son might be. Now, Sanford and Son's an instrumental, but it's got so many memorable. As a matter of fact, when me and my friends drove into urban Detroit, we played that song as we went through it. It was basically El Segundo, which they reference as being a real ghetto type of dilapidated area. And they used to own a junkyard. The Odd Couple, everybody. Odd Couple was, again, that was a night show, I don't know, that was more adult for me when it came out. I saw that on reruns and got to like it. I do not love it. I have certain friends that can quote this backwards and forwards. I liked it. Different Strokes, come on. Different Strokes Move the World. And then I think is the show we mentioned on last week's show, which is the Dukes of Hazzard. Just some good old boys. And so they have some strong candidates. I would leave that girl out of there. Eastchester, New York. Wow. And then there's Maud in Eastchester, New York. I don't know if that's really a good adaptation. Um, so we've done an hour. Now, I think that's pretty good for me just talking myself. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, yes. Thank you, Bellinor. I wanted to talk about the banana splits. We talked about a little. The banana splits was a show. Now, this was not this was a Hanna-Barbera creation. And this show was a live action show shot at Kings Island Amusement Park is it in Cincinnati, Bellinor, or is it outside?
It's outside in Mason.
Okay, so it's in Mason, Ohio, and there is a documentary about the building of this thing that is really good watching. It's only about 30 minutes long, but it talks about how the funding and how they had these ideas. I think as soon as you walk into the park, I don't know if it's still, but they have like a replica of the Eiffel Tower. And I guess they decided they were going to shoot a show with the banana splits. And the banana splits were like, again, the one guy's name was Snort. They were like another kind of wacky thing. Their mouths would not move, but they dubbed in voices of, I guess, cartoon actors to play the parts. And they would do these little bits in between the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. One name was Fiegel or something. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, Flegel, maybe Flegel. And I actually went to Kings Island, and I really am thankful to my dad because he did like to travel. There's a lot of people whose dads didn't like to go places. And Kings Island was one of those. There it is, the Kings Island Eiffel Tower. And you could actually go up that and get to the tower. And if you watch this documentary, the time and the time and effort and the specificity that they took in getting everything right was just great. And when I went, the Hanna-Barbera park, this park, Kings Island, was littered with Hanna-Barbera characters. So this was like you're getting it all. You're getting mascots. You're getting to see all your favorite Hanna-Barbera characters, even the obscure ones like the CB Bears. I should have mentioned that in the CB section. They even had a cartoon called the CB Bears. I mean, this is like, I don't know how many plots you can get from this, but there's the Eiffel Tower. And they had a lot of cool things there. And as a kid, I was really jazzed. They're the CB Bears. God knows what kind of hijinks these guys would get up. I wonder if they had truckers. What does that say? What year does that say there? That's not 83. I don't think so. I can't really remember. I can't see. But it's got to be middle 70s anyway. CB Bears, there you see him. Thank you.
1975.
1975. They see a guy. That guy has a trash can on his hat. Now, I think this one was, Wild Bill would like this. I think this had kind of a hick type of like redneck feel, where it was all, hey, down, what the hell, I'll get some trouble, something like that. I don't know. But the CB Bears, yes. Now here is Brady Bunch 2-part episode at Kings Island. Everybody remembers this one. Mr. Brady entrusts the plans. He was like an what do they call people who work with plans? Architect. He's an architect. He entrusts these plans with Greg, who you see with his hands up there, because he doesn't have the plans. He's lost the plans. They have to look all over the park for the plans, and you get to see the different characters. And this is at Kings Island. This was filmed at Kings Island previous to when I was there. And Balinor told me before the show, and if you could see Carol there, who Carol Brady, who has in books, I think might have been his book or her book. Apparently, there was a little bit of romance going on between a May December romance going on between mom and son. Uh, then, of course, Ann B. Davis playing Alice, another gender neutral person, one of those you couldn't figure her out. But she may have gotten married, so I may be wrong on that. And then you have Jan, who famously always said Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. And the kid there, I can't, this name's escaping me. For some reason, I know his real name, but I can't think of his. Who's the youngest kid on the Brady Bunch? I'm not getting any answers.
Jan?
Who?
Jan?
No, the boy.
Oh.
It was Greg. I'm going blank on it. Jeez. I'll get all the, I know his real name, but I don't know his.
Bobby.
Bobby. Thank you. Bobby Brady, BB, as we used to call him. He's in that picture. Yeah. And I think there was something going on with Marsha too. She used to wear those mini skirts. My God. Talk about boingage. And my wife she was in charge in college of booking guests. And this Greg Brady here was one of the guests, and she said he was horrible. Like he wanted all these like privileges, and like I need my dressing room to be like 68 degrees. So he's tabbed as a little bit of a nuisance. And then he did something. He had like a one-man show in Branson, Missouri that was fucking horrible. He's a no talent. You know, you figure it out at that time. You feel you only are going to be known for one thing, so just do it. I thought the movies did a very good parodies of that. Yeah, that's right. As my wife just informed me, he was a diva. It can't be a diva. Come on. So, they're on now. What's the name of this roller coaster, Balinor?
I think this is the Beast.
Yeah, the Beast. This is a wooden roller coaster. I'm sure these are very rare. I mean, at least built. Maybe I'm not a thrill seeker. I'm not a guy who's going to be like going to all these roller coasters. But I know they used to have one at Coney Island, which name escapes me again. I guess it's after an hour and 15, my mind starts going nuts. But these, I guess, are a rare thing. So
The Cyclone.
The Cyclone. Thank you. God, my father tells me stories about riding the Cyclone and all that kind of stuff. So they got the Cyclone, and then you got this, and this is the Brady. I'm sure you all remember that. It's a two-parter. Brady Bunch two-parters are always a thing. Well, an hour and 10 minutes is all I got. My memory is going. The voice is a little bit charred, but we're still hanging in here. Now, I hope to get Wild Bill on next week. If not, I will have a supreme guest. A lot of talk, a lot of chatter about me maybe getting a female in here. And I'm going to reach out to some women I know. I want to get answers to some questions I've had on previous episodes that really I need a woman's perspective on. Okay, just guy. And we really went retro in this version, but this is what I wanted to talk about Wild Bill. No, I'm not going to be bringing my wife on. She'll be talking about shirt tails and all the stuff she loved. But, maybe one day down the line, people are clamoring, Balinor, to be on this show. They're like, oh, I should be your next guest. I should be your next guest. So hopefully we'll have Wild Bill on next week. But from me to you, have a good weekend. Have a good rest of the till we see each other again. From me and Ballinaur, this is I Heard Things. And we'll see you next week. Peace.